ball played in for Tony Morley. Oh, he missed it! It is! Peterbilt! Villa in the lead!
Hello, good evening, Aston Villa fans, and welcome to the Villa Forever podcast. I am your host, Chad Williams. Please subscribe, and you can find me on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. So let's spread awareness about Duchenne muscular dystrophy. This evening, I am joined by my special guest, Michael Huggins, who is a community champion. He is a cooking operations coordinator at Mondelez International, Bourville, which is Cadbury's. He is an Aston Villa fan, but his nickname, which most fans call him, aka the cycling Aston Villa fan. Also, over the years, Michael has raised a lot of money for various charities, including Acorns, and later on in the show, our country's charity work. But with the charity work, it really shows what such a generous guy Michael is. It's a pleasure to interview you this evening, Michael. How are you?
Thank you. I'm well, Chad. Thank you very much for having me on. Can I just apologise first that my camera has failed? It's not working for some reason. And I even went to the special pleasure for yourself to put my suit on, and nobody can see me in my suit.
Oh, well, at least though we can still hear you, but it's just technology.
I've literally had a nightmare just getting here today. I thought I was stuck in Selly Oak with the floods coming in, and I've literally just ran into work now and just sat down literally 10 minutes ago. So at least we got the audio anyway, so that's good.
I wanted to organise this interview for quite a long time. But glad we organised it.
Yes, I'm really pleased, and I've got to say I'm a big fan of yours, Chad. I came across your channel some time ago, and I'm not exactly sure how, but you just popped up on one of my feeds, and I regularly try to tune in as much as I can.
Well, really, I'd like to say thank you for the great support for your Game Boy channel.
No problem at all. You deserve it.
Oh, thank you. You always get involved with the comments when you can.
Yeah, I try to be a bit reserved and not too controversial with my comments, but hopefully my questions that I put forward are okay.
Well, back in May, it was a pleasure to finally meet you in person with my dad.
I remember it very well. Yes.
At the Aston Inn.
Yes. It was a good night, and it was a pleasure to meet you on that night, and your dad as well. After following you for a while on the social media, so yeah, it was great to meet you.
And you're a nice guy as well. You've become a great friend.
It's the world is about spreading the love, Chad. So there's enough hate going around, so we don't need to spread any more. We can just spread the love.
Because when we met Neil and Paddy, we met some great people that night. Tony Morley, Gary Thompson.
Yeah, two of my heroes. I regularly, funny enough, when I played football at school, I placed my game on Tony Morley. So I was always bombing down the wings when I was a few years younger.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's a nice memory to have.
He was a great player, and it's for the older fans who are watching tonight, they will remember whenever Tony Morley got that ball and he went down that wing, the old Trinity Road, they all stood up as he went down, and you could hear the seats clattering as you know everyone was standing up, and
Wow.
he was an amazing player. Tony Morley was, yeah.
Well, let's get into the interview then. So, can you tell me about your family history and your background?
Yeah, my family originate from St Kitts and Nevis in the Caribbean. And how we came to being in Birmingham was purely down to my mother. And it was the 1957 FA Cup final against Manchester United at Wembley Stadium. And not many people know, but that was the first televised football match live.
Yeah.
And because of that, a few days later, that was broadcast around the world and it was picked up in the Caribbean. My mother actually watched that match and she fell in love with Aston Villa that day. And they were planning to come because she was part of the Windrush generation.
Yeah.
So she said, I want to go to Aston Villa, not knowing Aston Villa was in Birmingham. And this is how the family came to being originally in Aston.
That's an incredible story.
It's it's a story which, when you're celebrating the 150 years of Aston Villa,
Yeah.
it's about those family connections. And there's Villa fans who would have connections right from 1874. And, you know, my family, my own personal family stream with Aston Villa began in 1957.
That's why it's nice that to spread it down the generations.
It certainly is very special. Literally, the whole family. I've got 9 brothers and sisters. I lose count of how many grandchildren there is and great grandchildren,
Big family.
and it's a huge family, and everyone is an Aston Villa supporter.
But going back to what you said about your mum getting you into Aston Villa, my mum got me into football as well. And she was a big Villa fan as well.
That's very special. That's very special, Chad. You know, that family connection again, running through. You know, it does go through. Even my granddaughter, she's she's living in London now with my daughter,
Yeah.
and she has a Villa kit on very regularly, and she's in an Arsenal area. So, and she's very proud to wear that Aston Villa shirt.
And me as well. I supported Villa for a long time. Not as long as you, but about nearly 25 years.
It all counts, Chad. The years fly by so quickly, but the memories are still there. You know, and I've been very lucky to have witnessed some great moments.
And as a football fan, you go through ups and downs.
But with the beauty of supporting Aston Villa, and I know this might sound crazy, but it really does replicate what happens in our lives, you know,
Yeah.
with the ups and downs. And I think Villa fans really do celebrate every achievement that we've ever had because of those ups and downs. And I know we went through some really bad years, but because of that, when we actually do achieve something, you know,
Do you
it
appreciate
seems
it?
that 100% we appreciate it even more. And I think we appreciate more than certain other clubs who take it for granted that they seem to see as their right
Yeah.
to be winning trophies every season.
We're going back to the FA Cup 1957, but then he won it. My granddad, who's a Wolves fan, his dad supported Aston Villa, and he went to the open top bus parade.
Um, well, again, touching on 1957, that has come back in my life so many times with various things that I've done down the years with regards to charity. Um, as many people might know, I work for, well, as you said, I work for Cadbury's in Bourneville. And I
Yeah.
remember the first day I came into work in Bourneville, I got to meet one of the older operators. His name was Barry,
Yeah.
and we had a break. And he took out this newspaper from 1957 FA Cup final. And I remember, and this was 35 years ago. And I remember reading it from cover to cover. It was an old Evening Mail edition, I think it was. Um, but it 1957 keeps coming back in my life for many reasons. So that cup final, even though I wasn't born at the time, is very special for me for many reasons.
Well, 1957 was the last time they won the FA Cup. A long time.
It was a long time, and again, another strange story was I remember going to school, and it was the mid 70s, and you start to look at the records of
Yeah.
what your clubs did, and at the time, Aston Villa were the record holders of the
Seven
FA Cup.
times.
Yes, that's correct, and I think Arsenal eventually overtook it, and I think it was in the 90s. I may be wrong
Yeah.
on that, but to hold that record uh, for all those years, again, is something very special.
And so, when did you start supporting Aston Villa? How did it all start for you?
Well, again, I was born a Villa fan, um, but the memories I have of Aston Villa weren't actually watching them, if that sounds crazy. I am an Aston boy, and where we used to live on Ettington Road in
Yeah.
Aston. And in Aston that time, there was a lot of Caribbean families and a lot of Irish families, and we were always in each other's houses. But one of my earliest memories was being in the garden and hearing the roar from Villa Park whenever a goal was scored, and that still lives with me today. It puts a
Yeah.
tingle. The noise from Villa Park was incredible. And I remember the first time I was taken to Villa Park, I was probably about 6 years old, and it was 1972. I don't remember anything of the games at all in the early 70s. I do know that we were in the third division at the time, but
No.
the one thing that sticks with me is just the noise and the size of the crowds, and the smells and everything that you get from Villa Park, and it was really, really special. really special for me.
When you go to Villa Park, you can't beat the atmosphere.
When Aston Villa get rolling and the fans get behind the team again, it's an incredible place.
And it's like Aston Villa, it chooses you.
It certainly does, and it's there's so many different stories, particularly with my nieces and nephews, and I didn't realise this until uh, the past Christmas, where whenever they were going on holiday, I would always buy them a Villa shirt. And my nephew said it to me. He said, "Uncle, do you know you've brought all the nieces and nephews a Villa shirt?" And I said, "Have I?" And he said, "Yeah." And he was in America. He was in New York. This was in the mid
Yeah.
'80s, and he was walking with his mum and dad through New York, and he said to me, he says he could not believe the amount of people that stopped him to talk to him just because he had his Villa shirt on, and that's always stuck with him. And I said, "Well, look, this is why I gave it to you. People will always come up and talk to you when you go abroad and you're wearing the Aston Villa shirt."
Well, I've been to New York. It's one of my favourite places I've been to.
I've never been to the States myself, but that's something that's maybe on my list to do.
Yeah, you go there when you go there. I've got a lot of memories there as well. Some good memories.
Was you partying?
And I was on holiday. When I was there, though, I did sightseeing
What did you say?
at the Statue of Liberty, the Empire State Building. Some great landmarks. The city that never sleeps.
New York is a special place, to be honest, because you see it in so many movies that I can imagine when you actually see it live, it must be quite incredible.
And it's a place close to my heart.
You need to go again, Chad, soon.
Yeah. So, yeah, going back to the memories, Michael, about Aston Villa. So, what sticks out for you growing up?
Well, like I said, the noise that I hear from Villa Park, that sticks out for me. I don't know, I remember for those older people who was watching tonight, one of their first experiences of being at Aston Villa was actually standing on that hill in Aston Park. And you used to look between you could see the far side of the north stand, the corner flag. And
Yeah.
there was about 1,000 people standing on that hill,
That's interesting.
looking at the corner flag, and the player would run past, and you think, "Oh, there's a player." Um, and then obviously we were waiting for the gates to open to let people out, like 15 minutes towards the end, and we would all run down and go through the turnstiles, and we'll see the last 15, 20 minutes of a game. And that's another memory again which sticks to me. It sticks in my mind. Um, but thinking about the players, um, the first player I really do remember from my era is like Gordon Smith and Leighton Phillips. He was a captain at the time. Obviously, Chris Nicol, who he lost recently. Brian Little, to see Brian Little play, he was an absolute genius.
I mean, it's
And
unbelievable.
it's very difficult to put into words how good Brian Little was, you know. But one of my all-time favorite players, who I got to meet a few times, was Eamon DC,
What was
a
that
player
like?
from Eamon was a very shy man, and the first time I met him was at the Aston Villa Leisure Centre, and they had a panini sticker fair.
Yeah.
So I went down with some friends, and I had my book, and we were getting stickers, and there were a few players there, and I seen Eamon, and I went over to him and I said, can I have your autograph? And he looked at me and he says, why do you want my autograph? He said, there's Gary Shaw over there. Go and ask Gary. And I said, no, I don't want to ask Gary. I want to ask you. I said, can I have your autograph? And he gave it to me reluctantly, and he seemed a bit confused why I was asking him. But
Yeah.
to me, Eamon was a hero, along with Gary Shaw, who we've sadly lost. But with Eamon DC, I always called him the 14th man, and we would not have won the league without Eamon DC, because every time he came on that pitch, he'd done a job for Aston Villa. And he is sadly gone as well. But he was a great, great player and a massive heart.
Gary Shaw. I still can't believe he's gone.
It's losing Gary Shaw did hit me quite hard. Again, our paths had crossed a number of times, and again, it was strange. In those days, you would go down to Villa, you watch them play, and then you would go up the city centre in town, and you go to various clubs, Liberties, wherever, and you'll see the players in there, and you'd be in there, and you'd be on the dance floor, Colin Gibson, and it was just normal. Nobody was hassling them. You just go up to them and you say, you had a great game today, and then you'd be dancing with them on the dance floor.
Wow.
And another story was, I even went to a Greek restaurant near the city centre's changed a bit
Yeah.
now. But in the restaurant, in this Greek restaurant, Colin Gibson was there. And at the end of the night, I was standing on the table, myself and Colin Gibson, and we were smashing plates on the floor. Again, it's just one of those weird things which you just wouldn't see happening today.
And Gary Shaw as well. And for that time, he was a big talented player.
Gary Shaw was, again, one of my heroes. Again, he was just a couple of years older than me. But the talent he had was something special, and he was good looking as well. He had that blonde hair, and it was the time of the new romantics, and there seems to be like a lot of new
Yeah.
romantics in Birmingham. And yeah, Gary Shaw really just fitted in, with Aston Villa, and he was just a beautiful player, to watch. And yeah, he had great ability.
Also, like at Villa Park, they gave a real nice tribute. The Villa and the Wolves fans. He was loved by everyone.
He certainly was. Unfortunately, I weren't there on Saturday. But yeah, I really love Gary Shaw. He was a great player.
And also the Bayern Munich guy. I'm sure there'll be a nice tribute at that game.
But again, there's another funny story for Bayern Munich for that. When Aston Villa got to the European Cup final, and those days you go down to Villa Park, you queue up, and you get your ticket. I was extremely naive when I was younger, and I went down to Villa Park to get my ticket, got a ticket, and I remember going home and I said to my dad, Dad, I got a ticket for the European Cup final. And he said, well, where is it being played? And I said, in Rotterdam, in Holland. And he said, well, how are you going to get there without a passport? And I thought, what do you mean, passport? I, I didn't even have a passport, and I had a ticket for the European Cup final. And then he said, well, there's no way you're going to go because you've also got exams that morning. So unfortunately, I didn't go to the European Cup final. But I remember watching it. And when that ball hit the back of the net, you
Peter
know,
with.
yes, I was just jumping and my head was literally hitting the ceiling from that goal.
Even though it was before my time, I know how much it meant to the Aston Villa fans on that day.
I don't think at the time we really appreciated how big it was, but as the years go on, I think it sinks in now to that Bayern Munich team were full of World Cup stars, and you know we challenged them, and we beat them,
Mhm.
and I think that was the first time Bayern Munich had ever lost in a cup final. And it's something we always will be proud. I'm very proud of what that team did, like many of the Villa fans, and it's something that we definitely should not forget.
I know it's special that we're back where we belong now in Europe's elite.
Yeah, again, it's been a long time coming, but the way the fans have reacted to it, again, it's testament to we've, as I said, we've seen the dark days, things really bad, and now
The
on the pitch.
relegation, yeah.
Yes, twice. I've seen that
So
twice.
I'm from that now. From Championship to Champions League.
I always knew that we were going to do it, and at the beginning of last season, I remember speaking to a few friends, and they said, "Well, where do you think Villa's going to finish?" And I said, "Fourth." And they looked at me as if I was crazy, and I said, "Look, I really do believe we're going to finish fourth." And I'll say something now, and I'll put it on record.
Mhm.
With this manager, Unai Emery,
Yeah.
I really do believe we're going to win the league within the next 3 years.
Well, if that does happen, that'd be absolutely incredible. You've got to
I,
believe.
I really get that feeling. And again, it reminds me of when Aston Villa did win the league when we signed Peter with. And I
Mhm.
remember the words, reading the words, this is the final piece in the jigsaw. And that season, again, I'm looking back, I had that confidence that we were going to do it, and we did it.
Mhm.
And I've got that feeling again now. And he's building something very special at Aston Villa. And I think we may see
Mhm.
a couple of downturns, but we have to stick with him and give him everything he needs. He will win us the league.
I completely trust him. You're going to get him back, that guy.
He's amazing. We're watching football in a different way.
I'm sure Gary Shaw, he'll be looking down very proud.
I'm sure he will, like all the Holtenders in the sky.
But let's talk about Cadbury's then. So how would you describe your time at Cadbury?
Cadbury's is crazy. You can come into work, well, you can have a massive argument with someone, and then you're hugging and kissing, and then you're out in the night. And it's
Mhm.
just a crazy place to work for. But like Aston Villa, who are celebrating 150 years, this year Cadbury's are also celebrating 200 years. And I'm going back to when I first came into the company,
Yeah.
and you're told about the ethos, the Cadbury
Mhm.
foundations and stuff like that, the Bourneville Trust, and the work that Cadbury's do within the community. and that got me quickly hooked.
Mhm.
And I've done so many different things within charities and community work. And I was also the first person to become a trustee on the Cadbury Foundation
That's
from the shop
amazing.
from the shop floor. That had never been done before. And I still believe that I'm the only person to actually achieve that.
As well, Cadbury. I bet it's a nice environment to work in.
It's crazy, Chad.
Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy. I come into it, I think everybody must be sick of the emails that I send out. This isn't working, that isn't working. We need to get this done. And then, I see the managers and they're running away from me. And I say, come here, let's get this fixed. But it's one big family, to be honest with you, Chad. And, I probably spend more time
Mhm.
at work with the people who I work with. And you know, even though we have some crazy moments, we all love each other very much.
When I've been to Bourneville before, we went on a college trip. A lot of work goes into it there.
There's a lot of different industries when you actually come to Cadbury's, and people obviously think of chocolate, but the engineering and the technology side is huge. And again, with the history of Cadbury, one of the reasons why it was based in Bourneville was because of the canal routes. And
Mhm.
obviously the train routes were very limited at those days, so the canal was the main route of transporting products from Bourneville around the country.
Well, they say in Birmingham, there's more canals in Birmingham than there is in Venice.
There certainly is, and again, I wish we can get them all done up and get them presenting Birmingham in the right way. Again, it is something which I do find a little annoying that we don't value our canals as much as what we should do.
And Cadbury World's a fun day out as well.
It is up and there, and I haven't been there for a while myself, even though I work, just around the corner from Cadbury Well. But yeah, yeah, it's a good day out.
I'd like to say as well, Michael, all the viewers that are watching tonight, yeah, it'd be interesting to hear what's your favourite chocolate, Cadbury's?
My favourite, I'm gonna go with a classic Cadbury's Dairy Milk.
Oh, yeah,
That
you can't
is,
go wrong with that.
yeah, that's always my favourite.
It's traditional as well.
Yeah, believe it's probably the longest running brand. I could be wrong on that, but I think it is. And just the taste of that pure chocolate is again, it's very special.
You know what I like chocolate buttons.
Buttons are very, very popular. We just can't make enough of them.
Oh, well, never knew that.
We literally can't make enough buttons. As we're making them, they're gone. They're sold straight away.
And so also, guys, please let me know in the comment section what your favourite Cadbury chocolate is. I want to hear your thoughts, guys. So yeah, as well, so Michael, we'll talk about a bit more about your time at Cadbury's. So you said about the League Cup final going sick against Man United.
You're going to get me in trouble, Chad. Yeah, it was again. It was the team, Ron Atkinson, when we played Manchester United, and I remember going to the manager and I said, I need to have Sunday off, and he looked at me and said, no, no, you can't have Sunday off. I said, but it's a cup final. And he said, "Sorry, Mike, you can't have Sunday off. You've got to come to work." And I had my ticket and everything ready to go. And I woke up on the Sunday morning and my chest was killing
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
So I had to ring the manager and said, "Look, oh, my chest is not good at all. I can't come into work." But I recovered enough to be at Wembley. So
The thing is, I would be exactly the same. It's one chance of a lifetime opportunity.
I absolutely love going to Wembley, and not so much because of the stadium, but because of all the people who I see who I've not seen for years and years and years, old school friends. I always seem to bump into them um, whenever we're playing at Wembley.
And that was a very special day. And I was born that year.
Wow, that was it was very special. It was very special seeing us beat Manchester United 3-1. Yeah.
And that was the last time that you won a major trophy, Aston Villa.
I think
96.
uh, we beat Leeds United was the last time I think when we won.
Yeah,
Uh,
1996,
yeah,
96, that's, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, because
that was.
yeah, going back to about the Carabao Cup. What do you make of the draw against Crystal Palace?
It's a good draw. We're at home. Um, I think it's good for, and I don't like to use the word fringe players, but those players who aren't getting regular minutes. I know he played a really young squad the other day. I think we will play a more senior squad against Crystal Palace. But I think with the injuries that we had with Emi Bundia and Tyrone Mings coming back, I think we need a good cup run to get those players uh, some game time.
You're not seeing some of the youngsters get a good run out.
They did well, again, there was a few mistakes there, but I wouldn't hammer them for making mistakes. It's all learning, and Emery put out a team which he believed that can win, and they won. Um, yes, mistakes were made, but you can only learn from your mistakes.
I think that game as well is all about getting the job done.
Yeah, and like I said, they went out and done it, and we're through to the next round.
So I want to talk about your charity work. So what charity work have you done over the years? Have you got any plans for the future?
But the charity work that I've done, there's too many I really could mention, but one of the special ones, which I believe, were you in Acorns, Chad? Were you at Acorns?
Yes, yeah, I used to go there for respite when I was younger.
Right. 'Cause I did quite a lot of work for Acorns and bike rides, and I organised a swimming event, and we raised quite a lot of money for Acorns. Um, that was, I think, the last event I did for Acorns was in 2013, the last swimming event. But Acorns is something which is special, I know, to many Villa fans, and
Yeah.
also very special to a lot of employees at Cadbury's as well.
What's amazing, Michael, that's what we got in common about icons.
Well, Chad, I've got a bit of a surprise for you.
Okay.
And, obviously, this is 150 years we're celebrating of Aston Villa.
Yeah.
And, I've been asking fans to support the Aston Villa Foundation.
Mhm.
And through doing charitable stuff. But what I'd like to do for you, Chad,
Yeah,
is I'm going to set up a fundraising page,
yeah,
and it's going to be for me and you.
yeah.
And I'm going to use that page along with yourself to raise some money for Acorns Children's Hospice.
That's brilliant.
And when I set it up, I'm going to donate £150 in your honour,
That's incredible. Thank you.
and I'm going to get the company to donate a further £100. And then I know you do some, is it raffles and stuff, is it, that
I,
you do?
I used to
Quiz?
do years ago. Yeah, yeah. I used to do it years ago when I was younger. Yeah,
Right. So with your dad, with the help of your dad, we're going to organise a quiz night.
yeah.
I'll come down with chocolate hampers and a few goodies,
Oh right. Oh
and
dear.
me and you will try and raise some money for Acorns Children's Hospice.
Well, I'm absolutely speechless, Michael. Don't want to say that. It's really
It,
kind of you.
it's a tribute to you with what you're doing. You are an amazing person, Chad,
Oh,
and
thank you.
I'm really proud to see the work. You know, you're pushing the message out of
Mhm.
your condition, which a lot of people don't really know about, or you know, and it's important, you know, that we can support each other. And I'm 100% behind you, Chad, with whatever you want to do. And this is my way of just saying thank you.
Well, that's really generous of you.
No problem at all, Chad.
And also,
And
you put a lot of thought into it.
sorry, say that again.
You put a lot of thought into it.
It's there is a bit of thought into it, but it's very easy as well. You know, I think I remember saying to you, you know, when we spoke before, you know, what we would
Mhm.
like to do. You know, if there's anything that you could do to fundraise, and I thought
Yeah.
about it, and I thought, you know, as again, you know, I said that I wanted people to support the Aston Villa Foundation, which is great, but I know there's a lot of support out there for Acorns Children's Hospice,
Mhm.
and with your personal story as well, I thought, you know, I come up with this idea that, you know, we can do this.
Mhm.
Um, the one thing that I've got, we're going to organise a fundraising night,
Yeah.
and the other thing is I'm hoping to cycle to Bournemouth for the game.
All right. That's good. That's good.
So I will be asking people to, um, they can either choose to support the foundation,
Mhm.
or they can choose to support Acorns Children's Hospice. And yeah, I'm going to do that as well in your honour.
And it's amazing as well that with icons, it's very ironic that Rick DeYoung for the California Lions, he supports icons as well.
Yeah, I seen your interview, and again, Acorns is a special charity to Villa fans, and you know it would be wrong not to recognise that. So yeah, let's get some work done, Chad.
And Michael as well. With the swimming events, I'm interested to know why is it called the belly flop splash?
Well, you know when you organise something and you're trying to think of a name, and that was the first name that came into my head, the belly flop
Mhm.
splash, and I absolutely hated it,
Yeah.
but I just couldn't think of any other name to call it. And when I first organised it, I organised it um, just before 2012, and I don't know if you remember the swimmer Rebecca Eglinton,
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah.
which her distance was 800 meters. So I wanted an event that both men and women could take part in
Hmm.
on an equal footing, and it wasn't about who could swim the fastest
Yeah.
or anything like that. It was just about swimming and completing the distance.
Hmm.
And swimming was the only sport which I think I can get men and women in the pool together who
Yeah.
can go in, do what they swim the 800 meters, and yeah, they both could achieve it, you know. So that was something that was really special to me to do, to get men and women involved um, in raising funds. And the first time I did it, I think we raised
Yeah.
about £12,000, and
That's
then
amazing.
we'd done it again a few years later, and then that went up to close to £30,000 when all the money came in. And then the last event we did uh, raised a considerable amount more. But over the years, supporting
Hmm.
Acorns, I think, you know, with the employees from Cadbury's and their support, we've raised uh, close to £500,000, I think.
And also, as well, you do a lot of cycling charities, charity rising.
Yeah, cycling is my second love. I always rode a bike from being very young, and you know, I just absolutely love it. You know,
Hmm.
and I remember I love going to parties, but I don't like parties for myself.
Yeah.
And I was approaching my 40th birthday 40th birthday, and everyone was saying, "What are you going to do? What are you going to do?" And I said, "I'm going to cycle the length of the country." And they thought,
Hmm.
"You crazy?" And I said, "No." And I literally done that to avoid having a party for myself.
Yeah.
But I cycled from John O'Groats to Land's End. Um, there is a story to that where
Hmm.
it's a bit of a life story, actually. I was cycling for uh, a school in Wolverhampton called Penn
Oh
Hall
yeah.
School. And again, they have children with different disabilities.
Hmm.
And I remember going into the school, and I took my bike with me, and I was talking to them about the challenge that I was about to undertake. And there was this one young man, and he really took a shine to me. And I spoke to his parents, and I got their number, and I said, "Look, when I do
Yeah.
this challenge, I'll keep in touch with you, send you text messages each day." And so I started heading up to Scotland, uh, started the route, and I got down to Devon. And anybody that knows Devon, it's extremely hilly, a lot of
Yes.
climbs. And I was having a really bad day. You know, I've got about 700 miles in my legs, and I cycled to the top of this really big climb. And I got to the top, and I got off my bike, and I sat down, and I thought, I don't think I'm going to be able to achieve this.
Hmm.
And at that point, um, I got a text message from the parents, and the young man, he had passed away, and
That's
his
bad.
parents had told me that he was following me literally for the last 7 days, you know, looking at the
Oh.
messages and everything. And they said that he was holding on um, to see me complete. And I just got back on my bike, and I never complained about the pain that I was in. And I just cycled, continued to cycle.
Hmm.
And that's something that will always stick with me.
Also, that bike ride you did, that's a really long distance.
I've done it 4 times. I am crazy.
There. Did you have to stop off?
Yeah, the first time I organised it, where I booked all my hotels and accommodation myself, and then the last 3 times I did it, I'd done it with a company called Ride Across Britain,
Yes.
and they organised all the food and the accommodation and everything, and we were like camping out, and you'll have a set route, and we were doing about 110 miles a day. And yeah, it's a great event to be part of.
And also, Michael, no wonder you need to do a lot of cycling to burn off the chocolate.
Well, that's, you'd be surprised how many people eat chocolate here. And again, it is, keeps me fit. It keeps me fit.
And so I'm going to go on to the final question. So, what do you think of Aston Villa since Unai took over? And what do you expect for the Ipswich game?
Well, as I said earlier, Chad, I really strongly believe with Unai Emery, Aston Villa will win the league within the next 3 years. I really do believe that. Um, with regards to Ipswich on Saturday,
Yeah.
I think it's not going to be an easy game. I think this is going to be a test of our mindset,
Mhm.
and we need Ipswich should be a team that we should be beating, and I don't say that in an arrogant way. Um, but if we are going to achieve anything, I think Emery will learn a lot about the players on Saturday. Have we got the mindset to go to Ipswich and beat them? You
And
know,
these are the type of games we need to be looking at winning, but
that's it.
3 points.
Yeah, that's exactly it, Chad. We are playing on a different level now. So, there's no slip ups anymore. And, it can always happen in football. You've got two teams, and, the coaching across the whole Premier League is top notch now. But we should be going to Ipswich on Saturday, and we should be winning.
That's a great start to the season. 12 points out of 5 games. That's good going.
It is, and I feel like we're still in second gear. The control. I remember somebody saying on one of the channels of the maturity of the
Yeah.
team, and you can see that they are evolving into a mature team.
I mean, Emery's improved every single player at Aston Villa.
He has, and again, this is why I predict, what we're going to do in the next 3 years. And he's still bringing his players in. So we are a few years short of having that squad that he really wants.
The thing is, who knows? We might challenge the title.
I believe so, Chad. I really do believe so.
The thing is, you got Man City, you got Arsenal. Do I think Villa go into the other category?
Again, they are good teams. I mean, Arsenal last week, I was very impressed with how they set up defensively. I know they've got some criticism over it, but I think it's sometimes you have to do that, and you have to win games in different ways. And I think we need to show that at times. You can't always be playing swashbuckling football.
Yes.
Sometimes you have to dig in, and you have to defend. And if you can do that and get the right results, then yeah, great.
So, what is your score prediction for Sunday?
I'll go for a 3-0.
That's it, yeah, I like it. Very positive. I'm going to go 2-0 away win.
I'll take a 2-0 as well.
And Michael, only before we finish, I'm going to go through some comments.
Yep.
Thank you everyone for tuning in this evening. Look, thank you for getting involved. So a little look what comments we've got coming in. So we've got James Wood. I was gutted when the coffee one left a box of roses.
Yeah.
Talking about chocolate, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's. I can't remember the year the coffee disappeared, but yeah, that was a while ago.
Let's just have a little look at anybody else. So have a little look through again. Just have a look. Then we've got Claire D. Great idea. I wish they sold the shirts with icons on again. Yeah, I agree with that, Claire. Instead of betting sponsors.
Yeah, again, you know, I think there's some legal issues with doing that for league matches. I think you have to declare certain things in advance, and but I'm sure that the club would do more with acorns. I think they know that if they put acorns on the front of these new shirts, that they will sell probably even more. But it's just the legalities of doing that.
Because they're on the Champions League. Shirts not in the Champions League.
Yeah, and again, I think there's only 2 teams that have charities on the front of their shirts, and it's Aston Villa and Barcelona.
We'll read one more comment out. John Blevins at the bottom. Yeah. If you could do it again. Yeah. So we've got my Uncle John. John Blevins. Thanks, John and Michael. Very interesting podcast. Up the Villa.
Again, thank you for having me on, Chad. It's been a real pleasure.
Well, I think we'll bring this to a close. Thank you everyone for watching. If you enjoyed this podcast, remember to subscribe if you haven't. Give this video the thumbs up. Make sure to share it. And on our audio platforms, but give us a good review. 5 stars on Spotify, please. Also, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Thank you so much, Michael, for your time.
Thank you, Chad. Thank you very much.
I am going to wrap up this episode with Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.